The history, physical examination, and cardiac auscultation. We are in danger of losing our clinical heritage and pinning too much faith in figures thrown up by machines. Medicine will suffer if this tendency is not checked. Paul Wood. Now, introduction. The history and physical examination have always been the cornerstone of the evaluation of the patient with known or suspected cardiovascular disease. In the past 5 decades, there has been an unprecedented development and implementation of cardiovascular diagnostic modalities, which provide high-resolution, real-time images of cardiac structure and measurements of cardiac function. The new generation of cardiovascular specialists is now relying more and more on the results of these tests to make clinical decisions, with decreasing emphasis on teaching and performing a proper history and physical examination. However, optimal patient care should use cardiovascular testing to confirm and supplement the clinical impression based on the history and examination, not replace it. The initial interview with the patient is a necessity that has not changed over the decades. A properly taken history not only provides the richest source of clinical information regarding a patient's illness, but is key to understanding the effect of the illness on the patient and family, as well as individual needs and preferences. This knowledge, as well as the compassion and empathy that the physician can extend to the patient and family during this initial interaction, is of great importance, not only in the clinical decision making, but also in forming a trustful patient-physician relationship. It is important to always listen to patients. There are frequently subtle clues to the diagnosis that may be revealed by careful intervention, but many times other clues are spontaneously brought forth by patients themselves. Finally, patients now present with multiple medical problems in addition to the cardiovascular problem, and a true history will provide insight into any contribution of non-cardiac causes to the new onset or exacerbation of symptoms. With the widespread availability of cardiac imaging, there has been an evolution in the detail and focus of the physical examination. It is no longer necessary to be able to obtain all the necessary information from the examination, because the imaging modalities will provide diagnostic and hemodynamic results with a greater degree of certainty and accuracy than even a master clinician can achieve. For instance, maneuvers performed on a patient with a diastolic rumble to differentiate mitral stenosis from an Austin Flint murmur are no longer relevant. The question is easily answered from a comprehensive two-dimensional and Doppler echocardiogram. The severity of mitral stenosis is much more accurately obtained from a transmitral Doppler gradient, as opposed to the subjective assessment of the A2 opening snap interval on the examination. However, a well-performed physical examination is necessary to provide an initial clinical impression of the type and severity of cardiac disease, as well as its effect on the patient. The subsequent diagnostic studies should then be used to confirm or refute this initial impression, and the final diagnosis can only be made if there is a concordance of the two. No test is 100% reliable, and many results are dependent on the performance of the test and interpretation of the data. The history and examination should be used to determine a pretest probability to which the results of the test can be applied. For instance, a patient with symptoms and physical examination findings consistent with severe aortic stenosis but a low gradient on Doppler echocardiography represents discordant data. The clinician must be aware of the limitations of echocardiography, such as when a Doppler beam is not well aligned with the velocity jet. resulting in underestimation of the severity of stenosis. In this case, the results from the echocardiogram should be questioned, and further testing with either transesophageal echocardiography or cardiac catheterization will be required. Alternatively, a patient with a non-ischemic cardiomyopathy may have the diagnosis of severe mitral regurgitation due to a large set of mitral regurgitation on color flow imaging, but a barely audible apical murmur on physical examination will refute the diagnosis. Several books dedicated to physical examination have been published, and our intent is not to replicate their work. We wish to present an approach to the physical examination of correlating relevant findings on examination with key findings from our newer diagnostic modalities. It is essential to understand the underlying pathophysiology of the cardiac disease to guide optimal patient care. The findings on a well-performed physical examination provide not only diagnostic information but are also a window to normal and abnormal hemodynamics. The components of the examination, when coupled with direct hemodynamic assessment by either Doppler echocardiography or cardiac catheterization, provide the clinician with a tremendous overview of the hemodynamic effect of the disease on the cardiovascular system. When one hears a third heart sound at the bedside in a patient with heart failure, automatically a high E velocity on a transmitral Doppler velocity curve or rapid filling wave on left ventricular invasive catheterization hemodynamic tracing should be expected. The paradoxical splitting of the second heart sound in a patient with hypertrophic cardiomyopathy should match the marked prolongation of ejection time produced by a pressure overload on the left ventricle from the dynamic obstruction. Only that way, that is with a multimodality approach combined with clinical observations, can correlations between concordant, discordant clinical imaging findings be made to provide the optimal patient care. Our goal in this chapter is to provide a practical contemporary approach to history taking and physical examination, correlating the findings to hemodynamic and imaging data from echocardiography and cardiac catheterization.